Hello friends, welcome back to another piano lesson with Joel for your next piano lesson. Today we're just going to take a few minutes and look at pages 56 and 57 in your Alfred All-In-One Adult Course. Because on page 56 and 57, there's a nice description of some of the deficiencies in our hands as far as strength in the fingers and dexterity in the fingers. Some of our fingers are a little bit stronger than the other ones. So let's take a look at page 56, and then we'll go over to 57 for some exercises that we can do to help ourselves out. Essentially on page 56, they're telling us that our strongest fingers are the second and the third finger. Our thumb, though it has strength, is just obviously in a little bit more of an awkward position because as you've learned, we're playing with our thumbs in a sideward, downward motion, whereas the rest of our fingers are going naturally straight down with a curve in the hand. Let's see, the pinky is the smallest, and here it says the weakest. I tend to disagree with that because even though the pinky is the smallest and it may be the weakest, it's irrelevant that it's the weakest because it has more independence than your ring finger or your fourth finger, as we are learning. And you can see in the diagram there from Gray's Anatomy, who would have thought, right? We'll talk about that later too. That the fourth finger is connected to both the pinky, the fifth finger, and the third finger. So it's very dependent on the movement of those other fingers. And therefore, becomes an issue when we're trying to use dexterity and be flexible while playing different parts and different passages on the piano, which is why you'll find that later on our scales will be so important in helping our fingers become independent of each other. Let's look at page 57 where you see Leschetizky solution. Theodore Leschetizky. Say that a few times. I even have it up here. Leschetizky. Careful when you say that word. Leschetizky. Say that with me. Leschetizky. Leschetizky. Okay, so Theodore Leschetizky was one of the most prestigious teachers of his time. Among his most famous pupils were Paderewski, Gabrielich, and Arthur Schnabel, on and on in there. So he studied strengthening the hand extensively. So we had lots of ideas on how we can better strengthen our fingers. So one of the exercises that you see down here has us in G position. You can do this in any position on the piano, but this one in particular, we're in G position. So he wants us to put all our keys down. So I'm on number 1 here. Wants to put all these keys down at the same time. Then we're going to lift up the thumb just so that it raises the key and then back down again. And he wants us to do that several times while holding all the other ones down. Then we'll do the same with the second finger, and I'll show you a different angle here in just a minute. And for this one, we can bring it up. We can actually lift our finger up, and I will say as high as you can while keeping it curved. So we're going to stretch out those muscles as we go, and then we go on to the third finger, same thing. And then on to the fourth finger, we're going to lift that as high as we possibly can. This is where we run into trouble because this finger is very dependent on the other two fingers next to it. So we'll do our best there. For some of us, we may not even be able to get that key all the way up to release before we have to put it back down. That's fine to begin with. So just bring it up as far as you can and then restrike the key. Okay, let's go on to the pinky. Same thing with the pinky here. Bring that up as far as you can And I'll even say start stretching them up and bringing them down. Okay, let's show the left hand, and then I'll switch my camera angles. Same thing with the left hand. We need to have all the keys down, and then with our thumb on D, same thing. You can keep it connected or keep it in touch with the D and bring it down. And eventually I'll say start kind of stretching that up and then down. Okay, let's move on to the second finger here on C. Same thing. And then let's do our third finger. Start bringing that up as far as you can. And let's do our fourth finger. Here we go. Fourth finger, ring finger. Oh, bring that up as far as you can. And take it slower, as slow as you need to for this. All right, and now on to our pinky. Yeah. Bring it way up as far as you can, and then back down. And just stretch it out. If it hurts, don't bring it up quite as far. Okay, you don't want to give yourself pain doing this, although you should feel just a little bit of muscle and tendon stretching there in your hand, as we do with any exercise that's new for us. Let's talk about the stretching exercises that we did way back in the beginning of our piano lessons together, where we had our hands out like this, and where we're bringing them back. We haven't done this for some time. I'm hoping that you're doing this on your own. Okay, we bring that back, and then we take our thumb, just kind of bring that over just a little bit, and then other hand back and over this way gently. It looks like I'm really bending my thumb. Again, I'm not. I'm just putting just a little stretch. Okay, feel it just a little bit in here. So you don't want to do too much either. Just bring them back. Try to stretch your arm all the way out and just bring it back and release that tension. And do the other hand and release that, and then shake it out. So I'll link that video up top here where we did a lot of those stretching in the beginning. So that's something that we can do. I tend to do that before I play all the time, just as I'm walking down the hallway, wherever I am, you know, getting myself ready, just loosening up my fingers so that when I sit down at the keyboard, I'm somewhat ready to go. All right, let's do this together on page 57. Let me change my camera angle here. And in this particular view, you'll be able to see what I'm doing with each hand. Let's begin with the right hand. So I'm on number 1 on page 57. And we're going to start here. Let's do each one of these measures twice, which means I'm starting with the thumb on G. So we'll play it in tempo, nice and slow. 2, ready, all together, and 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now onto your second finger, bring it up as far as you can. 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then your third finger, bring that up as far as you can. 1, 2, 3. Now your fourth finger, bring that up as far as you can. 3, 4. Do it again. 1, 2. Keep your shoulders relaxed. Keep your elbow relaxed. And bring your pinky up. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can stretch it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and you're probably feeling a lot of maybe a little bit of soreness in here. Definitely that you've used those muscles. Okay, again, don't overdo it. Okay, just shake it out. Shake it out. Let's do the left hand, starting here with your thumb on D. And now I'm on number 1 at the very bottom. Okay, here we go. We're going to play all the notes together, and then we'll play quarter notes with the thumb. 2, ready, and go. Together. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Now let's do your second finger now. 1, 2. Bring that up. 4. Bring it up as high as you can. 2. Relax your shoulder. And third finger on B. 2. Bring that up as far as you can. It might not be very far. 1, 2, 3. Now here comes the easiest finger of all of them, the fourth finger on A. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now your pinky. Oh my goodness. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and relax. Relax. Shake that out. Okay, again, you're probably feeling a little bit of stress in this part of your hand, which is okay. Those muscles, those tendons are being used in a way that maybe they haven't been used for a very long time. All right, so again, when we're doing this with your thumb, you can start bringing that up. I know the directions say to keep that, you can keep that close to the key, which is fine. You want to have that control and that centering on the key itself. But after a while, start stretching that one up as well. And you don't necessarily need to keep the rhythm that's in these exercises. Meaning you can just take your time, bring it up and down. Okay? And try your best to keep the rest of your hands somewhat relaxed, though I know we're holding down all those keys, so we have a little tension there. And with your, okay, bring that up as high as you can. And then here. And then your fourth finger, yes, fourth finger, and then your pinky. Bring that up. Okay, let me show you the left hand here. Okay, so same thing here. And with your first finger, I'm sorry, your second finger, right? Now your third finger on the B. And then fourth finger. That's an easy one, right? And then your pinky. All right, and then shake it out. These exercises are very similar to what we did back in the beginning, where we're just kind of bringing our fingers up and stretching them up and then down. Okay, and of course keeping that natural curve when we're doing that. So there's a lot of things going on here. We're trying to create dexterity and mobility with our fingers, but we want to make sure we're keeping our fingers naturally curved. Don't start straightening out here. We cannot straighten out because our thumbs are just not long enough for our fingers to be straight like that. Plus, it's not natural to have straight fingers. So be sure your fingers are curved as you do all these. Okay? Thank you to good old Teddy Leschetizky for bringing this particular exercise to our attention so that we can help our fingers gain strength and dexterity and to become somewhat independent of each other. If I remember correctly, Robert Schumann, it was one of the Schumanns, Robert or William Schumann, actually created a device in which you'd put your fingers in and you would do finger exercises. Because his goal was to make that fourth finger as strong as all the other ones. Well, unfortunately, what happened was he ruined his hands. So he did so much work with that he couldn't play piano anymore. So don't do that. Your fourth finger is going to be dependent on the other two fingers. It will never be as strong as your thumb, second and third fingers, but we do want to make it just a little bit more independent for getting around on the piano. Okay, my friends, that is it for today. So for next week, make sure that you are working on pages 54 and 55, familiarizing yourself with the sharps and how to draw a sharp sign and how to indicate when a note is to be sharped. And then next time I see you, we'll move on to the G major and D7 chords for the left hand. Yay! Now we're going from G major chord to the D7, and that gives us a whole new tonality that we need to explore. All right, so until the next time, enjoy your stretching exercises. Take your time. Be gentle on yourself. If you feel pain, just stop, relax, go back at it again. Be gentle, and your fingers will become stronger, more flexible, and more independent as time goes on. All right, until our next lesson, happy practicing. Take care.